Okay, it's Wednesday, July 12th. This is a pre-opening SPY report. It's also kind of a recap SPY report from yesterday. I shot a midday video and then I was gone for the rest of the day. So in terms of a recap, first of all, yesterday we had a big two-up day that reached its target. You can see here it's a green bar that made a new daily high and had a target up here and reached it by the end of the day. I kind of was talking about how early in the week when we had the two down bar that couldn't reach its target, and then when you get a two up, kind of a play that doesn't reach its target this way, then goes the other way instead, there's high probability you're going to reach that target. Given that there was a CPI number coming out today, I guess you're uncertain what's going to happen. But in terms of the midday report, the first move up of the day provided some good buys, and you were kind of expecting that, and you had a little pause into the selling tail, but then by the end of the day, it reached up there. And I talked about how if you had kind of a secondary buy of the day, you can give that a shot. And as it turns out, that worked out well and reached the high of the day. You can see here at the open, we had a good red to green kind of move here for a morning trade that moved up. And then I always shot a midday video here talking about how ideally I'd like to see these stops taken out, and then you can look for kind of a red to green kind of move for a secondary trade on the day to reach those daily intraday highs, and that's what price did here, and it worked up to those highs, and it had a nice strong close. So this would have been a good secondary trade if you wanted to take it, and that was the only thing to be looking for. So now you have green bar here. What's happening on the weekly chart, as it turns out, we're going to gap up higher this morning and reach our target. So in other words, what happened was on this inside red bar, we never even tested lower to fail and head up or continue and head towards the target. We just immediately right out of the gates on Monday started up higher. We had two pushes down on Monday that never reached it, breaking through that weekly target, and that was a sign maybe you're just heading higher this week. Then we went up Tuesday, and now obviously today we're going to go up strong. This inside bar is reaching its target. That's all it has to do on the weekly chart. So while I'm not expecting any reversal to the downside, I'll get into that in a big picture in a minute on the monthly and quarterly chart. The weekly chart's done all it has to do. So who knows if we get strong, follow through in a big two up bar towards our monthly targets, which is now, all the way up in here. And then we can have a nice big green week, which should look to follow through higher into next week, or we might pause. I mean, who knows what's going to happen today for sure, but we'll find that out. But in terms of going back to the monthly chart now, we're green on the last month. So as long as we held the midpoint of that bar, you're kind of expecting follow through the upside. That's why even though we started red for a little bit earlier in July, you're always kind of waiting for that reversal the upside. That's happening now. We're above this green line, which turns this monthly chart green. And as long as we stay above there, now we're looking for follow through towards our next target up into the 45 kind of, whatever this number is up here. That's our next target, 45.78 type of thing. That's kind of where the chart's heading in the month. And as long as we now you can see on the weekly, right here is the green line. That's kind of the weekly and monthly chart turning it green. We're going to be gapping up in here. So as long as we stay above this green line, all the continuities to the upside, and we'll continue to expect that. Also, if I go back to the quarterly chart, we had a little recap after 6 months on this one. I discussed how on the quarterly basis, ever since making a two up here and kind of reversing green on this quarter, we've likely to broaden out above this big red bar. So that's also that same 45.70 something target, and that's where we're heading on a quarterly basis. We still have plenty of time to get there, but now we have a reference point, to keep. As long as we stay above this green line, then the monthly, weekly, and quarterly are all green and heading higher. You can see here the gap up after the pre-market or after the CPI number. We kind of had a big push up, a little pullback. We're kind of consolidating, so there are stops to be taken out down here on a very short-term basis. If the market wants to start down first, give you a bit of a red to green move, we'll just have to see how 15-minute structure, this is the 1 minute chart, how 15-minute structure unfolds here near the open. You don't know after a big gap. Sometimes it's tricky to get that immediate follow through. It's tough to trade. You might get a pullback to kind of shake out some or people taking profits right out of the gates. But as long as we stay above the green line, and as long as we have that big picture targets up, we're going to look for buys on some kind of basis based on the 15-minute chart. So let's see how things open. We have until we really break above that pre-market high with big green, then maybe we'll consolidate for a while first. Who knows? But there's bigger targets above, but there's definitely some pullback, kind of fair value gaps in here to fill. So we'll just have to see what happens and whether or not today's a tricky day or not. But in terms of at least the last couple of days, when we made those 2 pushes down and couldn't reach our target down here, that was a sign, right? And here we might be heading higher. Yesterday was good trading to the upside, a couple of trades, and then today, we're gapping up big, so with big picture targets. So let's see where things open today. Bias is all to the upside, and whether today or in the days ahead, present the best structure to trade, we'll find out. But keep that bias to the upside until proven otherwise.